from Royal Roads University, Canada. Well, the coalition is, 60 strong and something like 21 turned up. So what does that actually tell you about the future potential of this?
Well, I think it's very important that they're making some sort of... I still feel that in many ways it also reflects that they have an incoherent policy, because many of these nations disagree about the way to deal with counter-terrorism. And for instance, Philip Hammond said today that we have to tackle the underlying narrative of these kinds of groups. And of course, the underlying narrative of these groups is quite unclear what they want, when they want. It's very difficult to stop this kind of terrorism from taking place, as we saw in the attacks on Charlie Hebdo in Paris, for instance. So it's going to take a lot more clear-cut strategy from these countries. And of course, they've been defining a war on terrorism for the last 20 years, and it's not been terribly successful.
You say it's very difficult to ascertain exactly what the likes of ISIS want, but you have also said that they seem to have a more coherent foreign policy than Western countries. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think ISIS at least has some clear aims and objectives. I mean, we can't really call it coherent because they claim to want a caliphate from medieval times, whatever that means. But they do seem to achieve their objectives through violence, and they appear to have struck fear into people and individuals and countries. And that's the objective of most terrorists, to create chaos and fear and political disorder to achieve their ends, whatever those ends might be. So in that sense, they've achieved a certain coherence in their strategy. And that's much more than can be said for the foreign policy of Western countries, because we've been fighting terrorism. I mean, we fought against the Taliban for so long. We fought in Iraq against Al-Qaeda for so long, and those groups have emerged stronger than ever in many senses.
What do you make of the fact that, certainly in the light of what happened in Paris, intelligence agencies are now looking to enhance their powers? Does it not prove that, in fact, we are very vulnerable, and what intelligence agencies are asking for is justified? Will that actually solve the problem?
I'm not sure if it will. I mean, it seems to me that many of these terrorists are getting their funding and resources through criminal means. And what I would like to see happen is that we use the criminal justice services to go after terrorists, to find out where their resources are coming from. For instance, many of the resources for ISIS and other terrorist organizations are coming from well-established allies of Western powers, like Saudi Arabia, for instance, and Qatar, and some of the Gulf states. What I would like to see is, why aren't we putting more pressure on those states who are supposed to be our friends in order to stop this huge problem, which is obviously of great concern, but we don't seem to have the political will to achieve this.
Professor Kenneth Christie, thank you very much indeed for sharing your thoughts with us here on RT UK.
Thank you.